What's up everybody, Matt Maran here for another weekly update. So there's lots of exciting news to go over here this week, but before I get into the news, I first want to mention I'll be doing my usual weekly live stream at 9 p.m. Eastern time on Sunday night, so come join if you can. It's always a great time hanging out and talking cars with all of you. But getting into the news here this week, Toyota has announced some exciting changes for the 2025 GR86. So what you're seeing here is the new Hakone edition, which was rolled out for the last generation as well. And it gives you this new ridge green paint color that I really like, along with gold wheels and tan accents on the inside. And so that whole combo, that is all me. If you know me, the dark green is great. But only 860 will be made for the US, and they all come with the performance package upgrades of the Brembos and the SAC stampers as well. There's no pricing for it yet, but I'd assume that it'd be pretty close to the pricing for the Torino edition we have currently. Beyond that edition, though, all 2025 GR86s also get retuned dampers and power steering to improve handling response and a sense of ground contact, along with revised throttle mapping to increase the ease of blipping your downshifts, which is great. And they also say they've added engine torque control to provide a more direct throttle response and linearity. So I'm really excited for that throttle response change, because that was really my biggest complaint with the GR86 and the BRZ, is just that rev matching your downshifts was a little tricky and a little hard. I would have liked to see auto rev matching be an option here. We don't have that, but at least we have, some better tuning there to hopefully make it a little bit easier to do it yourself. And I'm really excited to try that out whenever these are revealed here, or whenever they go on sale. So and we'll also see if the BRZ gets the same changes or not. It'll be interesting to see if Subaru follows Toyota, if this is for both cars or just for the Toyota. But so Toyota says that these 2025 GR86s will be arriving this fall. So very excited again to try that out. Automotive News this week is reporting that Nissan is planning to discontinue the Versa in 2025 and the Altima in 2026. Supposedly, this is not confirmed, this is just a rumor, but it's kind of surprising, especially for Versa, because the sales for that are up over 45% year over year in the second quarter here. So I mean, Versa, we also saw this with Mirage. A bunch of these cheap cars are now starting to skyrocket in their popularity, most likely because people are finally realizing they can do without some giant SUV, and people don't have a ton of money these days, so this is going to be a natural thing, as you'll have the rise of the affordable car again. But apparently Nissan doesn't care, because they plan to get rid of the Versa anyway. So Altima sales are down about 5% this year, but still they sold nearly 60,000 Altimas already this year, and so we'll see whether the Altima name returns or not, but it's been expected that we'll be getting an electric sedan sometime around 2026 anyway. There's been rumors that would have the Maxima name, and there's also been rumors recently that those plans have potentially been slowed down a little bit, so we'll see how all this stuff shakes out. Again, this is just a rumor, but it's assumed that even if the Altima doesn't continue in name, that it could continue, just with there being some kind of electric sedan here from Nissan in the future. But also, it'd be interesting to see if this report is true, that it sounds like, at least as far as the sedan goes, maybe Nissan isn't slowing down their ambitious EV plans. But anyway, it sounds like Sentra will be sticking around, at least in its current form here. So there still will be a good, very affordable, and actually a really nice little sedan that'll still be available there for those who don't want to go over to the electric side. And I really like the Sentra, so I'm happy to hear that that's supposedly sticking around. But if this is true about the Altima going away, especially, Versa, again, you have Sentra, which isn't that much more expensive. So Versa is not a huge loss, but Altima would be, because this is going to be great news for Toyota, Honda, Hyundai, and Kia, who are the last four standing with a mid-sized sedan that's affordable. And, this combined with the end of the Chevy Malibu and the end of the Subaru Legacy over the next year here means that we're talking about those three cars total about 250,000 units every year. And so if those three companies are going to just walk away from 250,000 sales a year, I'm sure that those remaining four sedans will be more than happy to have their sales skyrocket as a result, assuming those people are loyal to sedans and will continue with them, from another brand. But anyway, it's really surprising. We've been hearing talks that maybe some companies have did the wrong thing, like Ford with abandoning sedans possibly. We'll see what happens. But if this trend continues, like I said, Honda, Toyota, Hyundai, and Kia are going to be in for a great time. So anyway, interesting to hear that. Audi has announced that for the 2025 model year, they are discontinuing their last two-door and convertible, the A5, along with the S5 and RS5 versions, although RS5 wasn't available for convertible in the past few years here. But that means that A5, S5, and RS5 are only available now in the four-door Sportback version. But this is just for now. We will see. But, technically speaking, this is the first time in a long time that Audi hasn't had a two-door and hasn't had a convertible to sell people. And, now in their lineup, they will have only four doors and SUVs, which is kind of crazy. It means that as this phases out, they're not going to have a competitor to the Mercedes CLE or the BMW 4 Series. But they could have an answer on the horizon soon here, because Audi does have a ton of new stuff coming, and this week they announced that between the rest of this year and 2025, they will be launching 20 new models globally, and they teased 3 of them this week, the next-gen A5, the A6 E-Tron, and then the next-gen Q5. And for the A5, they do say it will be a model family, which gives us hope that, they'll add in a convertible and add in a two-door as well. But they also, are saying how they're switching their naming structure. So A4 is going to go electric only and the A5 will be gas. So it could be that the A5 just ends up getting a regular sedan, kind of like a regular A4, plus the Sportback. Those two vehicles could technically consist of a family, but hopefully it's a large family and they do include, the two-door and the convertible. We'll have to wait and see about that. But we don't have much longer to wait, because Audi says that this will be the beginning of the next generation of combustion engines, which is interesting. And they said that they're going to be revealing the new A5 here this coming Tuesday, July 16th. Not a big lead up to this one. They're just like, yep, it's coming out on Tuesday. And that's it. So I'll be covering all the details on that one next week. In another week or two after that, we'll be getting the reveal of the production version of the A6 e-tron, which will probably be fairly anticlimactic, since the concept we saw back in 2021, they said was like 95% production ready. So aside from new door handles and mirrors, don't expect it to really deviate from the concept. But the concept was beautiful and amazing looking. So, but we'll see if there's any other surprises up their sleeve with that one, but we'll be seeing that here by the end of this month as well. And then in the fall, we'll be seeing the third generation of the Q5, but there's no info on that one yet, aside from there being more hybrids than there are currently. And so we'll have to wait and see about that. But anyway, very interesting and happy to hear that Audi has new stuff coming, because their lineup in some parts has gotten kind of stale. So it's great to see some fresh new life here in the Audi lineup. Mazda this week has announced that the 2025 CX-50 will be getting a hybrid variant, which has been promised for a while and finally is arriving here for the 2025 model year. We've only seen 2 pictures of it so far, so Mazda, in their typical fashion, doesn't provide a lot of imagery, but they do say it'll get 38 mpg combined, thanks to borrowing Toyota's hybrid setup from the RAV4, meaning an e-all-wheel drive system with no physical connection to the back end, like we see with the Toyotas, same kind of deal here. So you're going to have that set up, and it's going to be running a 2.5-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder that does 219 horsepower and 163 pound-feet of torque. And that horsepower number matches the RAV4's hybrid engine identically, so that's why it's almost 100% certain, although they didn't specify it, that it's using Toyota's 4-cylinder, not Mazda's 2.5-liter 4-cylinder engine. Would have been nice to see Mazda maybe use their own engine here, but I guess that for some reason maybe it wasn't compatible with the Toyota hybrid system. But anyway, so it'll also get unique wheels, unique front bumper design, and the option for red leather for the first time in the CX-50. And all CX-50s also will be getting Amazon Alexa built in, which we just saw on CX-70. That's going to be here on 50 now. And there's also going to be better programming, they say, for the crash avoidance part of their iActive Sense technology. They also gave us the price for it, although we don't have the other details or other imagery, but they say it'll be starting at $35,390 for that hybrid, and they'll begin arriving late this year, according to Mazda. And it's going to be starting, I think, 1 rung higher than the average CX-50, so I think it's going to be starting with the preferred trim there for those. But yeah, looking forward to trying that out, and it'll be a nice, I think, the RAV4 is really nice still, but it's kind of dated. CX-50 is a little fresher. Seeing that great powertrain in a newer, more polished Mazda, I think, will be awesome. So very excited for that. And even though we just saw the 2024 Chevy Equinox EV, I just did a review on it just a couple of months ago here, just went on sale. Chevy has already given us the details for the 2025 model year changeover here, including that it's going to have more horsepower, new packaging structures, and a new lower trim that gets closer to that $35,000 promised price tag. So first, the horsepower. The dual motor all-wheel drive versions go from 288 horsepower to an even 300 horsepower, and from 333 pound-feet of torque to 335. They didn't say why they got little bumps in power, but no one's complaining. The single-motor front-wheel drive version goes from 213 horsepower to 220, and from 236 pound-feet of torque to 243 pound-feet. One thing that's not an improvement, though, here is the packages, in my opinion. So instead of the nice, fairly simple, 1LT, 2LT, 3LT, 2RS, and 3RS trims you had before, now the 2LT package, for example, is called the LT with Comfort, Active Safety 2 package, and Convenience 1 package. There's no world where that sounds more straightforward. I understand that, with the 2LT, you don't know exactly what you get, and this kind of spells it out for you. But man, do I feel bad for Chevy salesmen that have to memorize that. Even I wouldn't be able to memorize all these different things, and, which one gets safety package 2, safety package 1, 3. It's just like, that is probably takes the cake also for the longest technical trim label or name or whatever. Really a strange change there. And again, Chevy has used the 1LT, 2LT, 3LT, all that kind of stuff for probably over a decade in all of their other model lines. Why change now? And just a few months after they already decided with Equinox they were going to do the other kind of naming structure. I don't know, that one's a mystery to me. But anyway, there's also still no info on the base LT just yet, but there is going to be the LT with Comfort and Active Safety 2 package, which I still have no clue what that actually includes aside from comfort and safety features. Anyway, that'll go on sale later this year, and that one will be starting at just $36,995, including destination, but that's before you account for the $7,500 tax credit, which you can take off at the point of sale now, meaning this is actually a vehicle that's going to be costing $29,495. So the Equinox EV is now under $30,000 for its price tag, and that's also just about $1,500 more than the gas Equinox MSRP, at least. Probably more discounts on Equinox gas models, but as far as MSRP goes, only $1,500 price premium for the brand new, much better Equinox EV with the huge screens versus the tiny little one you get in a base Equinox. And just so many other things, more power, more comfort, I think more space as well, at least as far as backseat and stuff. Just so much better for basically no upcharge. And you still get 319 miles of range, by the way, in that Equinox EV for those front-wheel drive ones. So really impressive as far as all that goes. And, and I've also been starting to see some commercials. GM is finally actually advertising, one of their really good products with the Equinox EV here. And so hopefully with a strong marketing campaign, and the sub $30,000 price tag now for this could really take off if they actually have the volumes. I think production is going pretty well now, so hopefully they can churn these things out, and I think this will really help to kickstart the next phase of EV adoption for people that were on the sidelines, but were wanting over 300 miles of range, were wanting something under 30 grand. Chevy beat everyone to the punch, and I really commend them for that, because there's other companies talking, I want a $25,000 EV. Ford's talking about this. Tesla's been talking about it for 10 years. Everyone's been doing this, talking this kind of stuff up, and maybe they have stuff coming eventually, but Chevy's the first one to actually do it, and not just do it and check the box, but do it very well, as I said in my Equinox review. But anyway, so I'm just really excited. I'm pretty jazzed about that, and we will see how it does out in the market. But this week is also the Goodwood Festival of Speed, so the rest of the news here this week is mostly coming from there. So first off, getting into the more unrelatable stuff here, Red Bull has revealed their first car for customers, if you can call them that, and it's the RB17 is what they're calling their first hypercar here. And as you might have guessed, it's not street legal, so I won't spend too much time on it, but from the info we have so far, it's pretty wild. So it runs a naturally aspirated V10 engine that does 1,200 horsepower and has a 15,000 RPM redline. It has a carbon fiber monocoque, of course, and weighs under 2,000 pounds, which is over 400 pounds less than a Miata with, 1,200 horsepower. I mean, talk about a wild ride. Top speed is over 217 miles per hour. They're making 50 of them, which is actually a decent amount in my opinion, and it's rumored to cost over $6 million each. And for that price, the buyers will be allowed to drive the car on dedicated days, various circuits around the world. I'm not sure, what the rules are as far as whether you can drive it in your own place. I know like Ferrari, you're not even allowed to keep the car in your own garage most of the time. So, we will see how this all plays out for them. But always fun to see a new hypercar and a new toy for the billionaires out there. But moving on here, Mercedes has revealed the 2025 AMG GT 63 Pro 4MATIC Plus, which another company, Chevy and Mercedes, both need interventions as far as the naming of their vehicles here. So anyway, this slots in between the regular 63 version and the E-Performance plug-in hybrid version. And Mercedes continued attempts to fill every tiny little niche and sell 5 of each of these different trims of this thing. Compared to a regular AMG GT63, it gets 26 more horsepower, 37 more pound-feet of torque, for totals of 603 horsepower and 627 pound-feet of torque from the 4-liter twin-turbo V8. It doesn't lower the 3.1 seconds 0 to 60, so that 0 to 60 time is the same, but they say that it does lower the 0 to 124 mile per hour time by a half a second and increases the top speed by 1 mile per hour to 197. So it's not really about the spec bumps. The main improvements here, they say, are better track performance, with AMG saying they improved the cooling for all the components, various extra radiators and coolers that are higher capacity than before and all that. The brakes also get better cooling now, and the front bumper and the underbody also get aero enhancements to help with slightly better downforce and things like that. There's also new forged wheels. It'll be arriving sometime next year, and there's no pricing on those yet, but I guess it's cool to see as well. Polestar has revealed their own track-ready car here, although this one's just a concept. It's the Polestar BST Concept. So it takes the O2 Roadster concept and puts a more aggressive aero to imagine what a high-performance version of that vehicle would be like. There's no other details or specs on that one, but it looks cool, and so cool to see that. And I'll try to keep my bitterness to a minimum here, but for WRX fans that enjoy some pain, take a look at this awesome WRX that Subaru can build when it feels like it. And this one is with the help of Vermont Sports Car, admittedly. But it's called the Project Midnight, and it's based on the rally car version, so don't get your hopes up that this is teasing anything. This is just a fun race car they're doing for kicks, I guess. And so as such, since it's based on that rally car version, it weighs about 1,000 pounds less than a regular WRX, while having a 2-liter turbo boxer 4 that does an impressive 670 horsepower and 680 pound-feet of torque, along with a 9,500 RPM redline. Whew, that sounds really fun. It also runs through an extremely short exhaust system that shoots out of the hood. So, again, going with just the wildness of this thing. It also gets the rear wing that you can see from space there, I think. And there's also wider bodywork and magnesium wheels. And so, a very fun thing. It's going to be running up the Goodwood Hill. I think it already has this week. And, yeah. Fun to see that Subaru still has at least a few enthusiasts that care about spending money on this kind of stuff, and hopefully those people's cries for a new STI someday come to fruition. But anyway, for another kind of enthusiast pain here, especially for European Ford fans, Ford brought back the Capri this week and basically pulled a Mach-E with it, taking a legendary name in Europe and slapping it on Ford's take on a Polestar 2, essentially. It doesn't even have Ford roots, which I think makes this one even worse. So this is one of those European Ford EVs that's based on Volkswagen's MEB platform, which means it definitely won't be coming to North America, by the way. So if you do happen to be excited about this, don't get your hopes up. It runs the same motor setup as the Volkswagen ID.5, meaning a rear-wheel drive single motor version that does 282 horsepower and a 6.4 seconds 0 to 62 mile per hour time. That one runs a 77 kilowatt hour battery that does 390 miles of range on the easier WLTP test cycle. Then there's the dual motor all-wheel drive version that does 335 horsepower and a 5.3 second 0 to 62 mile per hour time. That one gets a slightly bigger 79 kilowatt hour battery and a WLTP range of 368 miles. Inside, it gets a steering wheel with a flat bottom and top and a 14.6 inch touchscreen that thankfully does seem to be running Ford software, not Volkswagen's, so it'll be a little bit more usable, I think. But it does have a little gauge screen there, just like the Volkswagen. But glad to see they're continuing with gauges, since that's something that Volvo's trying to get rid of, and of course Tesla and all those have gotten rid of a long time ago. But there's no word on pricing or release date. But it'll be interesting to see how they position this in Europe, where the Mach-E is also on sale, and these seem to be pretty similar size, fairly similar as far as specs goes. And so, I'll be curious to see if this is going to end up being a premium thing over the Mach-E, or slots underneath, or alongside it, kind of like a coupe version of the Mach-E, which is already a little bit coupey anyway. But anyway, we'll see how that plays out. But interesting to see that one. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. Aston Martin this week has made a new AMR version of the DBX this year, the AMR 24. So like the AMR 23 from last year, these are done up in the similar style to the Formula One safety cars that Aston Martin does for Formula One, with unique color and accents. And this year, if you don't like the green, you can also get it in black or white as well. Outside of the paint and the accents, it's the same as any other DBX 707. But this year, the AMR version, gets that, it inherits that new interior from the DBX that we just got here a few months ago, and so a nice improvement there. If you're a fan of the AMRs, you can upgrade to the new one here and get the new interior. Moving on here, for the last Goodwood debut, another vehicle that we sadly won't be getting here in North America is the MG Cyber GTS, which is just a concept for now, but it takes the Cyberster Roadster that's on sale currently in Europe and transforms it into a very attractive coupe. And in that transformation, it also gains a back seat and likely a bigger trunk as well. There's no mechanical specs for it, but it likely shares the same motors as the convertible version. And for you lucky Europeans, there's no info on if or when it could be put into production, but it seems like a fairly easy way to spread out the development costs of the Cyberster and make it more popular, with a hardtop version, of course. So I think that a production version is likely if you're someone who's hoping for these to come to production. This concept looks very production ready as well, so it wouldn't take much. As long as they got the production capacity for it, I think they're off to the races there. So we'll see, but anyway, very cool to see that. And one way that Europeans aren't so lucky here for the last news story is, especially if you're a fan of gas engines in Europe, the current Porsche range there. They've just gotten rid of the gas Macan and the gas 718 production. Both those are already done for Europe. Thankfully, here for the States and elsewhere, it's continuing on for a little while. But in an interview recently, an executive board member here for Porsche confirmed to German car magazine Automobil Woche, hopefully I said that correctly, that those two vehicles, the Macan and the 718, won't live much longer, even for non-European markets, as the gas phase out for these models is continuing, even though there's slowing EV demand. Porsche, basically, they say they don't define like Macan EV success by the sales numbers, and Porsche seems to still be committed. They're not making any changes to their electrification plans like other companies, most companies are. Porsche seems committed to this transition in the same timeliness as they were planning it before, which is commendable and interesting to see, especially considering, Porsche, they're one of the biggest investors in e-fuels, but even they say e-fuels aren't going to save the gas thing. So they're really doubling down, I think, on this electric transformation of Porsche here. And so they said that supposedly, according to this report, the 718 production will phase out sometime next year whenever the new electric replacement arrives. So there was previously thought to be some overlap, and this gas 718 was going to continue on maybe a little while, maybe a year or two after the electric one comes. But it sounds like whenever the electric one comes, the gas one's going to basically phase out right then and there. So get your 718s while you can. And then they also say that gas Macan production won't last longer than 2026, which opens the door to it even ending sooner. We will see. But so if you're hoping that Porsche was going to keep the gas stuff around longer, maybe extend out the combustion stuff. Obviously 911 still is going to have combustion, and there's, they're not getting fully electrified at Porsche for a while, but they're not slowing down, which is a notable change, because even like Audi, again, they just said with their teaser for the Q5 and the A5 and all that, this is the next generation of combustion, and they're talking about that whole thing. And, previously the Macan and the Q5 did share a platform for the gas version. And we know a new Q5 is coming, but it sounds like it won't have a Macan variant. Maybe Porsche will change their tune down the road, especially if they have that platform there from the Q5, ready to go, and they have new gen combustion engines. It's possible maybe they still change their mind, but as of right now, it sounds like Porsche won't be doing that. So it sounds like the Q5 is going to have that platform all to itself now. And yeah, very interesting to hear that from Porsche. But lastly, I want to thank all of you that are members of the Maran Motoring Club. So we did have a couple new members that joined this week. So a big thank you and welcome here to Grand Admiral Thrawn and Armando Morales. So a huge thanks to both of you for your support. I really appreciate it. And I hope you're all enjoying the member perks so far. And there's also a few others that were able to join thanks to the very generous membership gifting that was done during the last live stream by Kyle, the Truck and Car Guy, MDKN, and Double Strike Photo. So huge thanks to all of you for your generosity as well. I'm sure all of those who are able to rejoin and the new members that are able to join are all very appreciative. And big welcome to those new members as well. There's Babs, Sean Paul, Jacob Raccoon, Rich Bounty Hunter, Miles Away, and Mustang Cars F. So huge welcome to all of you. Hope you're all enjoying the membership experience so far. Be sure to, enjoy all the perks like the Discord server that there's a member post about, and check out that whole member tab for all the behind the scenes videos and all the, little behind the scenes updates and things like that. And yeah, just hope all of you enjoy the membership perks and continue to stick around after that little trial period is over. But anyway, for all of you who would like to also continue to support the channel, there's always join buttons here on the video page, on the channel page, and a link in the description. Anyway, thank you all very much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on all this stuff in the comments below. Please leave a like and subscribe to keep these videos coming, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.